Hello and welcome to the Nasdaq Market Site. I'm Jane King, and with me today I've got Dr. Matt Burnett, the CEO of Legacy Medical Centers, and also Doug Anderson, the CEO of Wall Street Capital Partners and a corporate finance consultant for Legacy. So welcome.
Thank you.
So Matt, let's start with you. So just explain to me kind of your overall vision for Legacy Medical Centers.
So Legacy started about 10 years ago, right? And basically what I wanted to do is I wanted to take the best of every type of doctor, right, and meld it all together. And that's a lot of what you see. So we have not only chiropractors, but we have medical doctors, nurse practitioners, PAs, right, doctors of physical therapy, and it's that true integrated network that just makes a huge difference when it comes to medical care.
Okay, and you're all in one facility.
All in one facility.
And refer to each other if one needs specialization
yeah. So it's a team care, right, of that patient.
And then you're looking to expand and perhaps make that a nationwide concept?
You got it. So that's the game plan.
Got it. Okay, so Doug, talk to me a little bit about this space. Healthcare, it is desperately in need of disruption. I mean, everybody agrees our healthcare is great in the U.S., but there's so much bureaucracy and difficulty and just all this kind of headaches with it.
No question. Well, you know what Wall Street looks for? They look for companies that are ready to scale, and especially those companies in big sectors, rapid growth sectors. And one of the aspects that attracted me right away was the use of stem cells and lasers that he's perfected. And then on top of that, he's developed a system to educate doctors to do this, and that equals being able to scale. So they're going from developing 3 or 4 more clinics to maybe, you know, let's say 30 to 50 across the country.
Okay, see, because my husband's an athletic trainer, so he has his own business, and that's one issue he has is the scaling of it. It's difficult. You can't clone him.
Right.
So how do you get around that with training?
So that's what we did. So we've actually created Legacy Medical Training Institute. So right in Pittsburgh, we bought essentially a mini hospital, right? So we have the training facility on the 2nd floor, and our medical clinics are on the 2nd floor as well. So doctors come in, they learn the techniques, and then we take them right into the clinic so they can actually do and perform those procedures.
Okay, I mean, it's kind of like, you know, you're training them to be the legacy mindset, just like you would train, you know, a Starbucks barista or something. So, makes sense, right? I mean, I know it's different, but kind of a similar concept. So Doug mentioned the lasers and the stem cells. So tell me, how is that unique?
So my undergraduate degree is in nuclear medicine, right? So, you know, when you learn the physics of what photon energy and laser energy is, right? And how to apply that to the tissue in the biological sense, right? You can do amazing things, right? So essentially you're providing energy to the tissue, which increases cellular just production, right? So like mitosis, meiosis, anything that we want to do to amplify and accelerate that wound care or tissue healing, we can do on the spot. So when you do that and you take progressive technologies such as stem cell, right, or exosomes, and you actually teach providers how to do it the right way, the medically way, right? So we're all based in science, and that's big to us, right? So we actually have a research, you know, division as well, right? So you can't say it if you can't prove it, right? So everything is based in science, and I think that's one of the big things that attracts a lot of people to us, right? So not only are we perfecting the IP in-house, right, but then we're doing the research to prove that IP, and then progressing, you know, clinically in those areas as well.
So Dr. Burnett, explain how you use the CBD and the laser for treatment.
Sure. So an example, like a recent case that we've had. So I had a schizophrenic patient, right? And so, you know, they tend to state that they're in a loud stadium, right? They just hear these voices in their head and that they can't get out of that, right? So we took a transdermal CBD oil, right? Now I did a nuclear medicine scan, right? So I actually did a PET scan, and we saw that the hot spot is in what they call Broca's motor speech area, right? So Broca is where we produce speech. So it does not make sense, right, that if the cells of that area are spontaneously depolarizing, that you would hear voices in your own head. Right? So what we did is we started doing more and more of these, and sure enough, we keep seeing these hot spots, right, that are popping up in this condition. So with that, I have a roadmap, right? And I take that transdermal CBD oil, right? And with the laser, almost like ionophoresis, right, we drive it directly in. So CBD oil has the ability to tag to the CB1 receptor, right? So it down-regulates the nerve. So if you've got a nerve that's stuck in 5th gear, right, and now we can take it to 4th and 3rd, and we actually calm it back down. So the first time we did it, she took a big breath and she said, oh, she says, I feel like I'm in a library now, right? And so the second and the third time we treated it, right, and we continued to restore that nerve root to normal, she no longer has anything. She used to be committed once to twice a month into the hospital needing medication, right? Now with that CBD oil and that laser treatment, right, combined, she hasn't been to a hospital in over 6 months.
That's amazing.
Yeah, truly.
And you've during the concierge care.
Sure.
So kind of explain what that means exactly, and then how is that working into your vision for legacy?
Sure. So, you know, a unique experience. I've had the unique opportunity, right, to travel for 9 years with the NFL, and I treat, you know, professional athletes all over the country. So, you know, I feel very blessed to have been able to, you know, have that opportunity. The cool thing is, right, these guys, their livelihood depends on them returning quickly, right? So the thing is, right, when you use these advanced sequencing, right, of techniques, right, and we remove the inflammation, we hyperoxygenate the tissue, and then we apply whether the modality is stem cell or exosomes or whatever that athlete needs, right? What would used to take us 4 to 6, 8 weeks to repair, we can now do in 2 or 3 days. So you know, the results are oftentimes staggering, right? And people are like, what does he do, right? And they're always like, oh my gosh, it's amazing, right? Well, no, it's based in science, but you have to understand those principles and how to sequence them in the right way. And that's why we created Legacy Medical Training Institute.
Well, and I think one thing too about healthcare is the customer service just isn't quite there. I mean, is that something that you're going to work on to try to make it just a more friendly experience?
That's exactly what we're after. So the big thing is this, right? The insurance companies now, right, have the final say. So, you know, as a doctor, it's frustrating for me when I can't do what it is I need to do with my patient to achieve those results that we're after. So the nice thing is here, I have my team with me, right? And really that's what we want to develop. We want to develop teams across the country, right? That when people come in, we assess and we take a look at them and find what the best procedures are for them.
Now, you mentioned quickly the patients, and you've had some promising results.
Some unbelievable results.
So tell me about that.
So, for instance, 2 weeks ago, I had a patient fly from Naples, Florida, right? Basically had lost his entire right arm. So he had atrophy in the pec, lost the back side of the shoulder, right? So anything in that C5, C6 region was atrophying, right? And he'd been to orthopedists. They had suggested, you know, potential surgery. You know, he didn't want to go that route. And he said, Matt, is there anything we can do, right? So, you know, my medical team, right, comes in, right? They give him an injection at that C5, C6 nerve root, right? We start to laser, which amplifies or accelerates that tissue healing, right? That patient flies back up 2 weeks later and everything's back. So his strength is returning, right? So in a case like that, right, the atrophy of the muscle, they would essentially lose that. Here in a 2-week time span, it reverses almost immediately.
Okay, and then Doug, so there are a lot of kind of new medical facilities we've seen pop up, urgent care centers and so forth. How is this different than what we're seeing?
You know, Dr. Burnett's unique background, particularly in the nuclear medical, gives him expertise with those lasers, and he's actually gone to the laser manufacturers and asked for specific needs from that laser, and those applications have been amazing. For example, he's one of the first that I've ever seen apply CBD from marijuana combined with a laser for introduction into the body, and it's doing amazing things.
Yeah.
And so these techniques have been experiencing incredible results, and the fact that he's smart enough to know, hey, I need to clone myself, I need to be able to staff the other facilities with these techniques. That tells us that this is a scalable model.
So tell me a little bit again about, like, what are your goals, like, for the next, let's say, 1, 3, and 5 years?
So I think our 1-year goal, right, is we'd like to expand into 3 new markets, right? So we want to prove that model.
And you're in Pittsburgh now.
We're in Pittsburgh currently, so we have 3 locations there, right? And I think we've kind of decided that we'd like to go here, right, in Manhattan. We'd like to go in probably Beverly Hills and...
Maybe Beverly Hills, and then maybe other locations. Ultimately, it makes sense for him to be in every city that has an NFL team.
Oh.
Because those guys would be first in line for these kinds of treatments.
Yeah.
So,
So, Doug, how can somebody invest or find out more about Legacy Medical Centers?
So if you, at the moment, they're a private company, so they're only taking accredited investors, and they're working up a convertible note. And if you go to their website, they'll have an investor tab, and as long as you're an accredited investor and can click on that, then you can go in and learn about how to invest in this opportunity.
What is the website?
So it's legacymedicalcenters.com.
Okay, very easy to remember. Thank you so much, Doug and Dr. Burnett, for joining us today. And thank you as well for joining us. I'm Jane King at the Nasdaq Market Site. Have a great day.